History Channel.
From Hounds of Justice to blue contacts to dog food to the bloodline, we are here talking about the history of Roman Reigns right here on the History of Wrestling channel. Put your ones up, folks. I'm here with Issa the Demon Diva talking about Roman Reigns. How you doing today?
I'm so excited to be here with you. Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me talk about Roman Reigns. And I'm super happy to be reunited with you. People might not know this, but we are OG podcast buddies.
This is true. I think we've known each other for at least 15 years now. And the fact that I have picked you to talk about the history of Roman Reigns really shows that your love for him, especially because you named your dog Roman.
Yes. And he's about to be 8. So I want to make sure everybody knows that this was prior to the tribal chief, I always tell people when they question if I've been a day one that they can ask you, because I know that you know.
What was your famous sign that you carried around at live events for a little bit?
It's that angry Roman gives me Ladywood.
And that's where we are, folks. But today, we'll get to that later on. But today, this episode is all about Roman Reigns and the Shield. And it started at Survivor Series 2012. They show up in not their tactical gear, but in nice, beautiful black turtlenecks. And the story
like
goes,
a boy band.
The story goes that they actually had physical shields. And Dean Ambrose was like, I'm not carrying this shit around. And they all agreed to just throw it on the ground and walk out. Can you imagine that Roman and Dean and Rollins showed up with actual shields? Would that be as successful as it once was?
No, I think that would have looked a little lame. I mean, it depends on the design and all that, but I absolutely love the way that they showed up. I don't think they needed to have shields. Like, we don't have to be so literal about it.
It's like, all right, you're the Shield. So what should we have? Obviously, shields. No, we don't need that. We do not need that. And when they showed up, they beat up John Cena. They beat up Ryback. This was a triple threat match for the World Championship as CM Punk was on a historic run as a heel with Paul Heyman. Now, the big thing coming out of the Survivor Series, though, was the storyline and then the internet. Completely different feelings because everyone believed, these 3 guys, the Shield, are coming in to be CM Punk's henchmen for his faction, for his stable. But then it didn't work out that way, and out of nowhere, they separated the Shield from CM Punk, saying, no, Paul Heyman hired the Shield to protect CM Punk, but they don't actually work for him. They're hired guns. It was very weird because the internet already figured out, like the dirt sheets got the news out that they were brought in to be CM Punk's faction. And then I think Vince McMahon does not like the internet knowing what's going to happen next. So he's like, they're not going to be together anymore. They're hounds. They're henchmen. They're justice. Like, do you think CM Punk having a faction while he was a top heel would have benefited him, or he was fine on his own?
I think CM Punk will forever be fine on his own. You know what I mean? Like, I do agree with you that it was probably more of they figure us out, so let's change the plan on them, because they tend to do that a lot. But CM Punk is, to me, somebody that doesn't really need the addition. I mean, I liked him with Paul Heyman, don't get me wrong, but Punk on the mic and with the backup of the fans that he's always had, etc., I just don't think CM Punk needs anybody. He's on that level.
Yeah. And the Shield with their name, too. I will forever die on this sword. I know this is a history channel, but this is my conspiracy theory, that somebody who worked at the WWE was in a room with Vince, and Vince is like, all right, we need a name for this faction. And someone's like, well, I just saw Avengers. I just saw Marvel movies. The Shield, sir? What? The Shield? Because we know Vince McMahon ain't going to the movies. He's not going to see the current flicks. So I believe, I will die on this, that somebody saw Avengers, saw Marvel movies, and said, we're going to just name this faction the Shield, and Vince will never figure it out. That's how I feel about that. What do you feel about my conspiracy theories?
I actually love it. I wasn't really keeping up with the movies, the Marvel movies at the time. And then later on, I started watching them, and my nephew's like, yeah, that's probably where they got the Shield name. And I was like, wait, and now you just said that. I will be texting him immediately after to let him know he's not alone on that conspiracy.
No, because even
I personally thought they named it the Shield just for the entrance music, because I love the Sierra Hotel India Echo Lima Delta, the Shield.
It was beautiful. Yes,
Hmm.
but I will forever die on that sword because even Edge in 2008 fighting Undertaker at Hell in the Cell at SummerSlam, he was very Joker-like. And that's when The Dark Knight came out. And they wouldn't ever say like, "Oh, he's like the Joker." They just were like pretending that the world doesn't exist. But we are
Right.
supposed to pretend that Edge is now acting like the Joker, but yet the Joker doesn't exist in the WWE universe. That's how I felt about that. It was really
It makes
bizarre that
sense.
you would do this, and because do you feel like that happens a lot? We're like, all right, the Shield's going to show up. Like, don't you realize that wrestling fans cross over to other genres, music, movies, television, where they might put two and two together and realize you copied them?
Oh, 1000%. It's still happening to this day. And it's funny because they recently just did a thing together. But I know when Rhea would do the wave, I always would think of Terrifier and Art the Clown. Like, I'm a horror junkie, right? And I see a lot of the similarities with horror movies in some of the characters that we see today. And when people saw them like collaborate and found out that she was a big fan, I was like, I knew it because she does a lot of the same gestures that he does in the movie. So that happens all the time. And they should probably be aware that we watch other things outside. I know people don't think we do, but we watch other things other
Mm,
than wrestling sometimes, you know?
yes, I have watched many shows that doesn't involve wrestling. So when I see a crossover, I immediately go, Vince McMahon's not watching television. He is not watching anything besides he's in that wrestling bubble, and the Shield name will always trigger me with that moment. But their first match is at TLC 2012. Now, originally it's supposed to be CM Punk defending his championship against Ryback, but CM Punk needs surgery. So he gets surgery, but he's still the world champion. They just have him cut promos on crutches in the crowd or backstage. But the Shield is forced into their first match immediately. And that was not supposed to be the plan. The plan is let's build this out. The secret of are the Shield working with CM Punk? Well, we have to fast forward that immediately into a match where it's Team Hell No and Ryback versus the Shield at TLC. Now, when you have a debut match, and if you suck, that is forever how we're going to remember you. But this
Yeah.
was not a moment of, oh, this match was okay. Rollins, Dean Ambrose, and Roman Reigns kill each other to the point of when you tackle someone in wrestling, it's very clean. I fall back. When Roman Reigns tackles Ryback in the aisle, they fly into the ladder. And this is not oh, the ladder's going to be set up and it's going to break. It's going to be a beautiful moment. This is, no, we are hitting people with weapons the wrong angles. We're falling on things in the wrong angles. It was a beautiful match. But is it strange to you that they immediately just jump forward on this Shield having their first match at TLC because CM Punk is injured? Like, do you think they should have waited a little bit longer? But this was a perfect moment and a perfect night.
Yeah, I don't think they should have waited longer because the Shield did make an impact when they debuted and people were talking about him. So I personally would have not waited any longer to have them debut, especially they were ready because you watched the match. They were clearly ready to go. So put them out there. I mean, these three names are still the biggest names in wrestling today. They probably knew what they had, once they saw what they could do together.
Well, the Hounds of Justice. And, they had that promo backstage with Michael Cole interviewing them, asking about who they are, what they're here for. They're here for the injustice in WWE. And I'll be honest, when people say wrestling is bad, say today or last year or 20 years ago, I'm sorry, 2012, we were trugging through a big pile of duty because it was a rough patch of John Cena dominating forever. And the Shield coming in was like this fresh, oh, what is this wonderful moment? I'm so happy about this. But this TLC match begins an undefeated streak for the Shield. And this is also the debut of their music. This is the debut of them coming through the aisle up top, not through.
So good.
It's everything about it. Like the package. Now, we see Jey Uso in today's world coming through crowd. We've seen other wrestlers come through the crowd, Edge as well. But for the Shield, why do you think it works so well for them? Because also, I have been in the crowd where I've seen women and men grab Roman Reigns' ass, grab Seth Rollins' ass, grab Dean Ambrose in the ass. Like, why did it work so well for them, you think?
Well, the presentation of the Shield, and you just mentioned that when you put it all together, their tactical gear, the promos backstage with the cell phones and the presentation, the music, the entrance, I think it was just a whole package coming together so well, and they were all so different. All of them brought like a different aspect into the faction. I think I personally think that they're one of the most perfectly presented factions that WWE have done. I think a lot of them got to that point, but it took a little bit where with the Shield, you saw them and you were like, oh my God. As a matter of fact, I got into wrestling after taking my nephew to an event, not watching for years, seeing the Shield come down right next to me. And I was like, I think I love them. And I started watching. The rest is history. Like, it was amazing for me.
Were you an ass grabber?
I wasn't that close, but I would have been.
Only one time did they walk. I was in the aisle, and the one time they walked right by me, and it was crazy. But I was at an event. The Shield walks by me, and obviously I have a cell phone, but it was an old iPhone. I don't know where this video is, but this lady just goes in like full on, double hands on Roman, and Roman stops and he turns, just kind of like gives her a head bob. And oh, like,
You know what's funny? Like I told you, I was taking my nephew. My nephew was a kid at the time, he's a grown man now because it's been that long. But he was a big John Cena fan. He was on that aspect, right? This was in 2013 when that happened for me, and I remember seeing Roman Reigns and going, "Who is that?" And my nephew did the typical man eye roll, like, "Oh, he's Roman Reigns. Of course you like him." It was a love at first sight for me. Still there, we're still going strong, obviously, as you can tell.
yeah, of course. Well, it's like I have the last magazine ever produced by WWE, and
That's amazing.
what's that? October 2014 is the last ever WWE magazine, and the Shield's on the cover, and that's what really shows you is these three men changed the wrestling forever. And everyone always like, oh, what faction would you join? DX or NWO or Four Horsemen? There's a generation of fans who do not give a crap about the Four Horsemen, DX, and NWO. You know why? They didn't grow up on them. They did not grow up on them. This is the Shield is a group that people, started off when they were, say, 5 years old, getting into WWE, and 10 years later, still watching, or 15 years later watching. That
grown people like me who got into
Yes.
it later on.
That is the faction that influenced them as fans, and I think that's always strange when someone's like, "Oh, who's your favorite wrestler of all time?" Well, you can tell how old someone is by immediately saying, "Who's your favorite?" Well, mine's Shawn Michaels. I just turned 40. Shocker. So like that to me is one of those like, oh well, when people downgrade the Shield's influence on not just wrestling but as wrestling fans. It's disparaging to me when you think about it because you can have any opinion you want on Roman or Rollins or Deanie or whatever. They affected fans to the point of being committed to the brand, being committed to WWE all these years because of these three people. Like
I just love that you brought that up because, well, you know most of my history as a fan, but I remember prior to Tribal Chief era, which we'll get to eventually, but
yeah,
I remember I would tell people my favorite of all time was Roman, and people would just be like, of all time? And I'm like, yeah, like the thing with wrestling, it's the same with all sports, right? Like, I'll give you an example. I know you're from Boston, but for me, the 1998 Yankees are goated, and no other team will come close to that. Why? Because that's the team that I grew up watching and loved baseball at the time, right? Where somebody will tell you, I'll tell you Jeter is the GOAT. You tell me Aaron Judge is the GOAT because you're younger, right? Like, every generation is going to have their own thing, and I feel like us as wrestling fans and people like you who know a little bit more, at least you have always been very flexible because when we met, you knew that I didn't know a lot about the past. I can talk to me about 2014 on, and I can have a conversation, but prior to that, I don't know, and I feel like a lot of times wrestling fans are not aware of that because they're so attached to the era that they felt was the best.
well, that is actually one of the reasons why I transformed my original 10 Count Media channel into the Wrestling History channel. Because for as long as I can remember as a child, if I got a new DVD or a VHS tape, that's right, VHS, folks, and I would write down a wrestler's name I didn't know. Who's this? Dino Bravo? Okay. Rick the Modern Martel? Okay. I'd write them down so I would learn them. And as years would go on, WrestleCrap.com would teach me about the bizarre wrestlings of the Shockmaster, things of that nature. So this channel is really about introducing fans to either the past or the present that you're not aware of, because I want to make sure that just like me, there's an outlet somewhere where you're learning versus having to force someone to watch 25 years of wrestling, Raws and SmackDowns and pay-per-views. Nobody has the time for that.
And it's not the same. First of all, I love that you did this because I always have called you my wrestling library. Like, I know your knowledge and I think this is so fitting for you. But It's not the same. If you're not emotionally attached to the stories, you could go back and watch all of these things. Trust me, take it from me. I get a lot more enjoyment out of documentaries or people talking about the things that happened in the past. Like, for example, WCW, I can talk to you about it now because the documentaries I seen. I've never seen an episode of Nitro in my life, you know? But I sit down and watch channels such as this. Like, I think this kind of content help people a lot more than to sit there and watch a story that you have no emotional connection to. The thing that makes us attached to wrestling is that you become so emotionally invested in the storylines. If you're watching something that you weren't there for, it doesn't hit the same.
Right. And I think on this journey of talking about Roman Reigns, we're going to discover, why did the Shield keep breaking up and reforming, breaking up and reforming? Is because it's a trigger of nostalgia in your brain where you're seeing your childhood reform right in front of you as your three favorites come back together to defeat bad guys. And that's what the Shield is. The Shield reformed a lot, but it was nice to see happen. But after this TLC match, Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, Dean Ambrose, they just dominate. They win every single match they have. They go to WrestleMania 29, which I went to live. They beat Big Show, Randy Orton, and Sheamus, all former world champions up to this point. They attacked The Undertaker, who is untouchable at this point in time as well. It's just the heap going on and on and on. But in 2013, in May, they joined the Authority. And I'll be honest with you, I hated the Authority. And they were, everyone's like, oh, well, Daniel Bryan it was such a great moment, B+ player. And no, folks, like none of that was planned. It was kind of just fell in their lap and they had to keep going forward with it. If no one knows historically, look up any single article from 2014. You will not find anyone praising WWE's Authority storyline or Daniel Bryan being pushed down for wrestlers that we were sick and tired of seeing. It was a different time. But having the Authority and having them, the Shield, join them, like, was it needed to keep stacking and stacking and stacking this heel group? You had Big Show, Kane, Triple H, Stephanie McMahon, Randy Orton as your champion, and now you have the Shield. Like, how many members do we need?
I don't know, but it did raise the heat. Like people just really, really hated the Authority. You weren't the only one hating on them. And it also felt unfair for Shield fans because you wanted to like them, but you hated the Authority. So it put you in this weird spot where you're like, I don't know how to feel.
That's what's strange about it too, was like, did they think like, oh, well, the Shield's getting popular. You know what we should do? Make them unpopular. Why would you want to ever do that to your
I don't think that was the
brands that are making
mentality,
money?
Steve. I think they thought the show is popular if we have them unite us, people will start liking the Authority. That's probably how they saw it.
Oof. Woofy. Because I did not. It was one of those moments of, for a long time, I haven't done it in a long time, where I would get angry. And people still, you see it online now, people getting angry at wrestling.
Oh, I get angry a lot.
And I have not been angry in a long time, but I remember around this time, like, what are you doing? Why would you have this Shield group that everyone loves? It's the bad guys that we want to cheer for, secretly cheering on, but yet you slim them up with the most boring group of people together. And you're thinking, oh, this will work. No,
because this was a time on like today's day where it wasn't cool to cheer for the bad guys. So we're gonna figure out a way that you will boo these bad guys because that's what they were.
That's a good point too. That is a good point. And around this time though, Dean Ambrose also wins United States Championship. Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns win those penny-shaped championship belts that were also red. They were awful.
Oh, they were so bad.
They were so ugly.
They look like pennies. You said it.
Extreme Rules, if you want to see the night the Shield really becomes this dominant force, where they all win championship gold that night. Dean Ambrose beats Kofi Kingston, and Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins beat Team Hell No, which was Daniel Bryan and Kane, another very popular tag team in 2013. So giving championship gold to this group immediately shows you we believe in this group. Like, we believe in the Shield. And if you don't know,
believe in the Shield.
If you don't know, folks, there was a lot of catchphrases with the Shield, and one of them was hashtag believe in the Shield, Hounds of Justice. There was a few of them, and it was funny because
the hounds. Remember the tweets?
Oh God, the shirts.
Yes, I had them.
You had all the ugly, like, weird pit bull dog shirts.
Yes.
Those were not good looking shirts.
No, not at all.
They were not good looking at all.
Well, we're still there. We won't even get into the merch, but yeah, those were not cute.
it was rough. It was rough. But yeah, Rollins and Reigns. It's funny because in today's world where they're still connected at the hip, and here we are
Crazy.
in 2013, tag team champions. Yet we still are here talking about them. And newer fans, I'm gonna guarantee you, don't know enough of the Shield history because the WWE loves to rewrite history, and any video package that involves Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins does not show you Dean Ambrose. And I get it. He doesn't work
Nor
for your
do they
company
show
anymore.
you as tag champions together. Think about it. They went into WrestleMania this year. There was a triple threat because they had to add CM Punk in there. But even when they had that Royal Rumble match a couple of years back, they talk about their history, but you never see them. Even not even Dean Ambrose, you never see them with the tag titles together on those video packages. I wish they would go in on how deep the story really goes.
Yeah, it's forever long. Again,
It
over
feels
a
like
decade.
with the Seth and Roman rivalry, it feels like they started with Seth hitting the chair on the back of Roman's back without showing you how close why that moment was so historic because people loved the Shield and the things that they had accomplished together.
Yes, because even when they bring up the chair spot at WrestleMania 40 to have to have it all come back as a moment for fans who knew what that moment meant. Well, for newer fans, they're like, "Why is Roman Reigns so obsessed with hitting Seth Rollins with a chair? I don't understand." But yet, if you were involved, if you were around during this time, you would actually know, oh, like this is a callback moment,
Yeah.
but they did not. They did not acknowledge that. But I was not a fan of this. The Authority joining up with the Shield. It was not fun for me. Though, in one of the greatest matches in 2013. Now, 2013 is a tough year for WWE fans. It is not a fun time. Do not go back and watch Raws and SmackDowns and pay-per-views. But you can go back and watch Cody Rhodes and Goldust with their father, Dusty Rhodes, in their corner, taking on Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins for the tag team championships with Dean Ambrose in their corner. It is one of the greatest matches in 2013. It is one of the greatest matches in the past 20 years if you go check it out because there's a story there. Can the family, Cody, Dustin, and Dusty, come together to defeat this Shield group because the Authority is also involved as well? There's a lot of big moments there, and it's funny because there's Cody Rhodes. No American Nightmare. Just a dude in tights with his brother who's Goldust. Everyone's like, it's Goldust and his brother. Is it shocking to see that years later, Cody and Roman still involved in big time storylines heading into WrestleManias?
Not surprised for Roman. I always knew he would become what he
This is
is.
not a hate Cody Rhodes podcast.
You know what? Like people in my chat on my channel say that I gotta throw a Cody stray every 5 minutes, so I had to. It's been too long since I, said something negative about Cody. But yeah,
Mm.
Cody was in the mid card scene where he belongs. Anyways, I actually for to say something positive, when you brought it up, I do remember like seeing the family together and how meaningful that was for them as a family.
There's a great camera shot where Cody and Goldust and Dusty Rhodes come out and they do like the fist shield. And
Yeah.
get Dusty's in the middle and he has his fist and there's Cody and there's Dustin. It's a great moment. Even if you don't like Cody Rhodes, like you don't, apparently, you have to appreciate, there's the father who's no longer with us in today's world. He's passed
Yeah.
on. And yet there's Goldust, who's no longer in the WWE. There's Cody, who's trying to figure out himself. And there's a father and son moment of just coming together. And I imagine it felt pretty awesome that evening. Of course, when Cody becomes Stardust, it doesn't feel awesome and all that shit. But this was a nice
Best thing he's done.
this was a great moment for because like I'm a father, and a lot of people out there, have dads or don't have dads, and you want a moment with your parents and you
Of
want
course.
this to be remembered forever. And in wrestling fans love to go back sometimes and watch history, and that's what this channel is all about. And I hope someone who say their father has passed on or the father is still here, that this moment you remember, be like, oh man, like me and my dad have gone fishing. We had a moment like this. This moment for Cody and Dustin with their dad winning the tag team titles against Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins, who eventually become mega stars in the company. It's got to be a great moment for the sons to have with their dad.
Yeah, it is. It is. I agree with that. I thought you can tell it's special.
Yeah. And then But towards the end of 2013, they start developing like the Shield's going to break up. They're doing these weird moments where like Dean Ambrose loses the championship, his U.S. title, and he gets it back.
He
Roman
had
and
a
Seth.
long reign.
Oh, I believe it was, let's say I have it written down here, 351
Yeah.
days as
I
United States
remember Dean
champion.
having a very long reign as not the greatest reign, don't get me wrong, but he had a long reign. He held that title for a while, which I feel like it was part of the tension because Roman instead lost the tag titles while Dean managed to retain.
And then at this time too, is Roman Reigns is not cutting promos. Like in today's
No.
world, we know him as a man who likes to cut promos, and we all love him, we acknowledge him, and things of that nature. But at this point, Dean Ambrose seems to be becoming the breakout star of the group because he's the one doing most of the talking with that cell phone. He goes to Dean Ambrose. Rollins says something one liner, and it goes to Roman, and he'll probably say like "Believe in the Shield."
Believe the Geo, and that was it.
That's all he said. You're like, oh, this
Yeah.
dark,
But the
mysterious
Roman at
creature.
that time was really positioned as just the powerhouse of the group. Like he would speak with his actions, I guess. You know what I mean? Like Roman was just positioned as the strong one in the group, the one that would come in there and handle business. And that's the way that they were presenting him at the time. Yeah.
And
And back then people thought that Dean was, which he was. Dean ended up having a great career in WWE, don't get me wrong. But to me, he was the late bloomer of the Shield because they really pushed the other two way before they kind of like really gave singles Dean Ambrose the push.
Yeah, you're right. Because when the Shield did break up, Dean Ambrose goes off and does his own thing. But at this time, like Dean Ambrose is given the microphone. In wrestling, we know if you can talk, you most likely become champion because you could be the greatest wrestler of all time. But if you can't talk me into the building and talk me into a
Right.
storyline, well, I don't really care. And you're right. Like Seth Rollins, he was a high flyer. He would jump through the rope on one side,
He
climb
was doing
back in,
crazy
run to
stuff
the
back
other side,
then.
hit that. Then he'd run to the other side, do a front flip over the top rope onto another guy. And there's
He
Dean
was
Ambrose
jumping
making
off
these
of
weird
freaking
faces.
like really high things, and then Roman would be spearing. Man, the show was fun.
Yeah, it's true though. Like each one had a perfect spot. We have the powerhouse, we have the high flyer, we have the talker, who is also the brawler. So
The talker and the lunatic. Like I don't want to bring that back up, but Ambrose really did seem crazy. Like the one that they had to like calm down. Let's keep him under control. You don't want to unleash him.
well, his facial. I think the two now in this world like we live in, everyone is obsessed with facial expressions. In
Yeah.
2013, no one. It was like, all right, I'm buff. And I can say a cool catchphrase, and that's it. Like Dean Ambrose was out there making these weird facial expressions, and I remember that is where people started falling in love with him because
Yeah.
he was sticking out from not just the Shield members, from everybody because he looked and acted different. He didn't come from the same cloth of the Randy Ortons and the Dolph Zigglers and the same people who all kind of like acted the same. We had a brawler for a long time.
Yeah.
Different wrestlers had different styles. We have a high flyer, we have a brawler, we have a powerhouse, we have a hardcore wrestler. The Shield gave, I think, us back. They gave us these wrestlers have individual talents, but yet they come together perfectly. And I think that's why the Shield, at least at this time, they're working together well. And did you go to Survivor Series 2013, by the way, in Boston?
I did not.
Okay, because I remember bumping into one of these events in Boston, but
We bumped into each other at Hell in a Cell when Sasha and Charlotte, when we had the first women.
Oh, okay,
Hell in a Cell.
Yep, 2016. Because I remember going to the Survivor Series in 2013. By the way, one of the worst Survivor Series of all time. Randy Orton versus the Big Show is the main event.
Oh.
Put that, guys. Big Show is main eventing. Pay-per-views 2013. Super. It was awful, but the Shield did dominate in their first matchup, and Roman Reigns is just all over the place, dominating, killing people left and right. It was one of those like, oh, okay, we got a breakout moment here for Roman Reigns. And then the next month, it was a really bizarre because the Shields and the Wyatt family haven't been touching each other yet, but it's designed for the Authority to now have the Wyatt family also working for the Authority and the Shield and Kane, all these
How much
people.
were they paying? How much were they paying that everybody was going over there? They must have been getting paid some good money, I feel like
Stock
the
options.
Authority bribed them. Yeah. Long-term benefits.
Yeah, stock options. Yeah. Again, it's very bizarre. They kept adding all these people into the authority, but at TLC in 2013, and now this is 1 year separated from their
Mm-hmm.
debut. They fight CM Punk. It's the Shield, all three members versus just CM Punk. Also on that night, it's Daniel Bryan versus just the Wyatt family, all three members. Dumb as fuck, but CM Punk somehow beats all three members of the Shield.
Of course
Now,
he
before
does.
we move
Come on.
on, can you believe that? That
Yeah.
CM Punk, I know it's by accident, like Roman accidentally spears someone and that's how they win.
Right,
But like,
right.
holy shit. How did
I mean, look
someone
at him now at 50. He still just hits one GTS and wins his matches magically. So that's just CM Punk.
I just think it's crazy. Like, how in the
Me
world
too.
can you book the Shield? I know you're trying to tease they're gonna break up, but tease breaking up against three other people, not one person. And this is
The funny
Wolverine
thing is
CM
that
Punk.
at this time, CM Punk thought he was being treated unfairly, and they had him out here beating the Shield. I'm like, please make it make sense to me. How is that unfair?
He wants to be world champion. Damn it! Why am I not
Yeah,
on the cups? Why
I
am I not
know.
on the posters?
The ice cream.
Yeah, the ice cream bars. Yeah, I think if CM Punk today could talk to CM Punk in 2013, we'd be like, listen, calm the fuck down. Like, you really, but I can internally feel why CM Punk was so upset because yeah, you beat the Shield, that's great, but yet you're still dealing with Big Show main eventing Survivor Series.
Right. I'm just being sarcastic, but you're
No,
absolutely
you
right.
don't have to be sarcastic. It- it's factual. It's
Yeah.
100% bullshit. CM Punk is out of the WWE in 1 month from now in Royal Rumble of
Mm-hmm.
2014, and he won't come back for a long time. He didn't work in AEW according to WWE's history, so he's been missing for all these years. Was it 9 years? Was he missing from?
10. Yeah, and I'm almost 10. Almost
Yeah,
10 because he came back in
almost 10.
November. If it would have came back in January, it would have hit the 10-year mark.
But January 26, 2014, Roman Reigns breaks the record and he throws out
Ah,
12 wrestlers. Now,
yes.
look at this date.
When he should have won the Rumble, when he should have actually won the Rumble.
Thank you. Thank you for saying that. Because we are at this Royal Rumble, people are cheering Roman Reigns. We're like, we want him to win because we've had a year of domination of the Shield. We want
Yeah.
Roman to win. We're all cheering him. He doesn't win. Flash forward a year from now, boy, that place is booing him out of the building. Not even The Rock
Can't
could
wait to
save
talk
him.
about that. Can't wait
We'll
to
get to
into
that. Don't you worry. I'll have to be smoking the whole time during that, drinking.
I might have been the only person cheering. And I have video, I have receipts. I was cheering for Roman.
We'll have to post that somewhere to prove that this is true
Oh,
or
I
not.
will. I will. I have receipts. Me and my nephew were watching it together, and I'm all hyped. And then I'm like, oh, they don't like this.
Nobody liked it. Nobody
Well, you know
liked
when
it.
you're blinded by your fandom, like I am. I'm very blinded when it comes to Roman. Everybody else I can talk normal about with Roman. I don't make any sense.
It's funny because in 2014 Royal Rumble, you could type Roman Reigns on, we didn't have TikTok yet, so we didn't have that. But we had Twitter, and you could go on and type Roman Reigns, and people are like, yeah, he's the next big thing. We love him.
He
He's
got
the best.
robbed.
Oh, how dare they not push him? We hate this. What's going on? And yeah, I hated it too. But what I did love was the Wyatt family versus the Shield, because the Shield and the Wyatt family start having a rivalry. And if you remember this moment, and I hope some people do, is we have a moment where over the years we've been told how The Rock and Hulk Hogan are in the ring together and they're not talking and they're just looking around and the crowd's cheering. Well, guess what? The WWE historically keeps forgetting that the same exact thing happened with the Shield and the Wyatt family. It took them like 20 minutes to just tiptoe into the ring, to get face to face. The crowd was electric. Now,
It was so
in the
good.
history of professional wrestling, it's very hard to find factions of three, but at the same time being both dominant and being liked. And yet here we are, Shield Wyatt family. Now, do you remember the feelings that you had seeing this moment break out in front of you?
I do because I always been a huge Wyatt, specifically Bray Wyatt fan. And at that time, obviously, yeah, Roman and the Shield were my number ones, but the Wyatts were probably my number two at this particular time. And it was like, who do I root for? Why this is happening? This is crazy. You just know that you're getting one of those, this is freaking awesome. Let me sit back and enjoy it, kind of moment.
Mm-hmm.
Because for me, and I'm pretty sure people that were really into it at the time, That was the ultimate, and they deliver. The best part is that they freaking deliver.
You're right about that. You're right. And I think that's throughout this, I think we're going to realize a lot of moments where they were so great, but the WWE was like, yeah, that's great, but we don't want to promote that. We're trying to promote this over here. Like, yeah,
Right.
but when you have magic, you should probably show off your magic, not go, yeah, that's great, but look at this. I can balance this on my nose. Whoa. Like, no, we don't want that. We want to
Mm-hmm.
see these teams did go at it in multiple matches, but I think it's very hard to find in the history. As I mentioned earlier, DX, NWO, we couldn't get that rivalry. We couldn't get Four Horsemen
No.
versus, like the Heenan family. We couldn't get all these big factions fight each other for historical reasons. We got a chance
Mm-hmm.
here, but over the years, we're told about Austin 316 and we're told about this moment and this moment. I don't know why this moment is ignored through time. Why?
I have no idea. I think I wish people would go back and watch this more. I talk about it a lot as much as I can, and I even talk about later on the Bray Wyatt and Roman Reigns rivalry doesn't get talked about enough, and it was so good. I loved their entire rivalry. Anyone but you, Roman. Like their whole history was so good, but this moment for me, somebody that was just getting into it, I was what, like a year in, just about. I was like, this is a reason why I got into wrestling. I remember how the energy in the building switched when the Shield came out that first time that I was, there, and the way that I felt, and I was watching this from home. The way that I felt, I was like, I cannot even imagine what it would have felt like being there, especially now that I experienced so many life moments. Like I was like, that's one of those moments that I was like, man, if I wish I could have been there for that.
Same. I always, when I do interviews with wrestlers, sometimes I ask them a question of like, if you had a time machine, what moment would you travel back to see live or to be there for that moment? And for me, I think honestly, like, there's so many moments, but the the crowd, and that's what was going on because the crowd was not interested in some of the storylines we were getting produced. There was a lot of
Right.
segments on shows that we were just like, okay, well, am I here because of habit? Am I watching this because of habit, or am I watching this because I like it? And when you get a Wyatt family versus Shield moment, you're not here out of habit. You're here because you love it. And I think
Mm-hmm.
that's why this moment, for some strange reason, is not doesn't fit the lore of Roman Reigns and the bloodline that we'll get to eventually. But I don't know why this particular moment is just erased. Because again, like I bring it up, The Rock and Hulk Hogan, my God, how many times have I heard about that moment? How many times have they talked about that moment? Or Austin 316 or all these moments that they will stop jamming down your throat. Trish and Lita, man, then Raw. Yeah, that's great. Okay, whoopee. But what about this? Why can't we talk about the Shield and the Wyatt family more? Why can't this be in the, then forever together? Why? I'm very confused sometimes why moments are erased and why some moments are pushed down my damn throat. But this one,
Especially from
no.
way back when, like this uh attitude era, and even the ruthless aggression era moments, they get pushed so hard, and it's like hard for people like me where I'm like, listen, I've been watching for about 12, 13 years, and there's been moments just as awesome that nobody freaking talks about.
Yeah,
This is one of them. This is for sure one of them.
yeah, you're right about that because, I grew up, I started watching in 1992. So in reality, like I came in after the golden era. So I have new generation, I have attitude, I have ruthless, I have all these combos. But throughout my life as I grew up, different eras mean different things to me. And
Hmm.
this is the era of, am I watching over habit or am I watching because I love it? Well, then you get to a moment like this where you go, God damn it. I
I
know
love
why there
this.
are moments like this. I love this shit. Like this is
Right.
why I sit and watch, Evan Bourne matches and Fandango matches and nothing against any of those people, but this is why I watch
Oh,
it.
wrestling is an addiction, and once you experience a moment like that, the feel that gives you, you continue to watch almost in a toxic way because you just want to live something like that anymore. Because oh my God, you never know what they're gonna do. They could give you one of those moments and you're like, man, I love this. I say it's a very toxic relationship I have with wrestling because you live for. They don't come very often, but when those highs come, nothing beats it.
You're right. It is an abusive relationship.
Yeah.
Oh, you brought me flowers today? Oh, that's amazing. Thank you so much. And the next day, like, Um, so you didn't make me any breakfast. Like,
Oh, now lately I've been saying that wrestling just abandoned me because they have my favorite on top for so long, and now they have him losing to Bronson Reed. I'm like, what are we doing? Like, you have me up here for 5 years where I was just nobody could stand me, and now you just drop me like
mm, yeah, that's what happens
it's
in a relationship. You
painful.
get
It's
dumped. Sometimes you
painful.
get dumped, and you got dumped. Accept it. Accept that you got dumped. Okay, just accept it. But no,
No, we'll get back to the top.
but you should go back to you should see the Wyatt family versus the Shield Elimination Chamber
1000%.
2014. It's an epic match because again, like I brought up, historically there aren't a lot of three-man factions fighting other three-man factions or women or
And
whatever.
they're both over.
Right, and they're both popular. It's not like you're trying to jam. It's like three singles wrestlers have to come together to try to take down, this faction. No, it's faction versus faction here, and it's pretty nice. And but they do tease in the storyline that Seth Rollins is frustrated with the Shield. He wants to
Right.
leave, but they get back together. Then in 2014 in March, Kane, who is not Demon Kane, it's Corporate
Corporate
Kane.
King.
Yeah, Corporate Kane. He was funny sometimes, and other times it was terrible. And
It was
I believe
hard to
this is
get
the year
through.
we met in 2014. And
Yes.
Corporate Kane tells the Shield to beat up Jerry Lawler because he's on commentary, and Jerry Lawler has been saying bad things about the Authority lately. Well, the Shield
Yeah.
are all about injustice in the WWE. Well, technically, if Kane isn't he the justice going around abusing his authority? So now the Shield turn babyface, and they are now officially the good guys in this situation. They had
Finally.
it was like, and they started wearing these skull masks to the ring. They used to wear them before COVID,
Yeah.
folks. They wore masks over their face. And they would come down, and I thought, holy shit. When you couldn't think they could get more badass, now they're wearing skulls on their face while coming to the ring in their SWAT gear. Why do you think it was finally time for the Shield to turn babyface? You couldn't stop it any longer, the fans?
You couldn't stop it any longer. People loved them. Why not? Like it only made sense in my opinion. There was you hear the reactions. If you go back and watch during this era, you can tell the crowd loves them. Like I said, at this time, it wasn't cool to cheer on the bad guy. Now it is, and it's awesome, right? But at this time, it's like, okay, they're gonna cheer them. We might as well turn them. A lot of the turns I know you know this. A lot of the turns during this era happened because of that. Well, they're starting to share them, so we might as well turn them instead of just like really thinking it through.
Yeah, and the one problem with that too is sometimes where it's like, okay, if I'm the Shield, I've been beating up Sheamus and Randy
Right.
Orton and all these guys. Well, now you're babyface. Now you're like, hey, I'm gonna help you. Like, wait a minute.
They
Didn't you
still
just beat
do
them
that.
all up for a whole year?
They
Now that
still
you're
do
good,
that.
I can't stand when suddenly you're coming down smiling. And at least the Shield didn't do that. At least the Shield
No,
didn't
they didn't. They
immediately do
stayed.
that.
They stayed badass. The presentation didn't change. The skull mask was a great addition, but they were still just badass.
And WrestleMania 30 is a moment that I was very sad because I was a giant Shield fan heading into this event. And we had Daniel Bryan versus Triple H to start the show. We had Daniel Bryan versus Batista and Randy Orton. We had the streak being broken, but yet we had the
The
Shield
Shield got a
come
crappy
down in their
match.
skull masks through the ring in different spots. What a badass entrance. The entrance lasted longer than the match because the
Yeah.
Shield beat up Kane and the New Age Outlaws, who are now also part of the Authority. Yeah, let's keep adding. Let's keep adding more. Why not X Pac? Why not a hologram of China? Let's just get them all in there. But yet they had a short match. Why do you think? Why was it necessary to have such a short match for such a popular team?
I don't know. I don't know. I always try to wonder that, but the WrestleMania 30 card is so stacked. I mean, I blame Daniel Bryan for a lot of things that happened to Roman Reigns, including this. They had to change the entire direction that they were going. We will never know what really was supposed to be booked with all this movement that went down and having to book two matches for Daniel Bryan, etc., etc. So we'll never know, but I hate that that's the match that they got at WrestleMania 30 when they were like really popular, and I feel like they should have done better.
Yeah, because a year
Because
before
Bray
this at
Wyatt was
WrestleMania,
fighting John Cena on his own. He still had the Wyatt family, but they have Bray Wyatt in a singles match. But that card was also very good, you know? So it's like, man, they got the crap end of the stick for WrestleMania 30. They really did.
you're right about that. Because yeah, there was so many pieces. Like, all right, you had the Shield versus the Wyatt family a month ago at Elimination Chamber.
Should have been
And
a WrestleMania match.
now
Now
you
that
have
we think
Bray
about
Wyatt
it.
versus John Cena, who has WrestleMania 30, though, if you don't know, have the greatest video packages of all time heading into these. You have Daniel Bryan's with The Authority.
John
I'm a
Cena and Bray Wyatt one.
monster, a monster. You have Bray Wyatt with Eminem supplying the
Just so
track
good.
for Bray Wyatt in John Cena's match.
The Brock
Legacy.
Lesnar and Taker one was very good too.
Yes. Legacy, legacy. I'll never. Those are the songs that I stick in my brain because you couldn't escape those promos because they played them every single day on Raw
Listen,
and
I'm gonna
SmackDown.
message you later because I was talking about video packages the other day. I might have you on my channel talking about video packages that live in your head rent free because I think a lot about some video packages in WWE.
Oh
A
yeah.
lot. They do such a good job with them.
The one that I keep seeing, which is hilarious because some people probably never experienced it. As you said, you stopped watching for a while. Austin versus The Rock, Limp Bizkit, WrestleMania 17.
I seen it.
Like that one pops up every day somewhere, and I'm always like, I don't remember it being that important. Though it's hilarious because they kind of dropped that Deborah McMichael, who was also married to Stone Cold Steve Austin at the time,
Right.
was supposed to be The Rock's manager heading into WrestleMania, and it wasn't working. And Steve Austin used his political power and was like, and they just they just got rid of that. Like, oh, she's not the manager anymore. That's stupid. You're gonna turn heel instead.
Yeah, I seen that package.
Yeah, there's some good packages. I'd like to talk about that, but it's just shocking that WrestleMania 30 a year ago they took on Big Show, Randy Orton, and Sheamus at WrestleMania 29 in Jersey. I went to that one, but yet WrestleMania 30 a year later, when they're like the most popular they've ever been, and they have a 30-second match. It's just shocking to think that.
Well, have no fear. They're gonna be okay at WrestleMania 31. Just not together anymore. But they will be just fine at WrestleMania 31. They would all have big moments.
Yes, it's true, but I want the Shield to have the big moment, and they never got their big
Together.
WrestleMania moment.
No, no. Even the freaking Shield match that ended up happening, the triple threat happened on some crappy pay-per-view.
I don't know. Was that Payback?
It was a fast lane.
Oh, well, it will again. But there's so many Shield moments where we'll sit here and be like, "Why did you do this?" Or like, Seth Rollins coming back from injury, everyone loves him. You have a documentary about him, everyone loves him, and he turns heel on Roman. We're like, "What are we doing here?"
I was there. I was there for that.
Oh my God. Yeah, we'll get to that eventually. But after this WrestleMania 30, we head into a rivalry with the reformation of Evolution. It's Batista, it's Randy Orton, and Triple H all coming together one more time to take on the Shield at back-to-back pay-per-views, Extreme Rules, and Payback. A little side story for you. These are the time I got blocked by Batista on Twitter.
Wow.
Yeah, because at one of these events, I believe it's Payback, he wears all blue gear, blue tights, blue everything, pads,
Tista.
boots. Blue Tista starts trending on Twitter. Not me. I didn't say that. The internet decided Blue Tista would trend. Well, I also use hashtag Blue Tista. I might have tagged him. Well, he blocked me instantly. But yet the WWE puts out an action figure a few years later, a Blue Tista action figure. So
Maybe
fuck
he
you,
was
Batista.
feeling sensitive that day.
He was feeling sensitive because he wore stupid gear. That's why.
It was ridiculous. He looked like a Smurf.
The back-to-back wins, though, the Shield beat Evolution back-to-back. Extreme
Yeah.
Rules aim Payback. And these are not normal matches. These are Extreme Rules matches. Seth Rollins climbs the top of the Extreme Rules sign and jumps off of it onto
So good.
everybody. Like, these are not just, actually, that's Payback, no holds barred. But these matches, again, it's so hard to find three-man combos that work. And yet you're having the Shield fight the Wyatt family at Elimination Chamber, fight Kane and Outlaws at WrestleMania, now Evolution back to back. This was the peak. The crowd is deep into the Shield. Now, it's going to get a little sad here in a minute, but what did you think of those matches, of the Evolution and Shield matches? Because to me, that really showed you, like, these aren't just, the Shield is not just wrestlers who are here to, be a faction for a little while and one's going to head off and do something great and the other two aren't. This is showing you, like, holy shit. We don't have 1 star. We have 3 stars in this faction.
Yeah, you got Evolution to reunite just to fight the Shield. I will die on that hill. Like, they were like, we need to come up with more 3-man factions because this is working, especially after they saw what they did with the Wyatts. Up until this point, I liked it a lot, but Unfortunately, and I'm not lying because I know what's coming up, I was wondering when it was going to be time. You ever watch a combination that works so well that you automatically start thinking, man, as singles, these guys would just like, there's so much more for them to do as singles, you know? Because at that point, we're used to them breaking everybody up, you know? Like at some point, everybody breaks up too, you know, back then. So yeah, I really enjoyed it, but I was also curious about what they could do to like individually.
Because you're right about that. Because at what point do you go, what could they do next? Like, what
Yeah.
after beating Triple H, Randy Orton, and Batista twice back to back? There was a clean sweep. There was a no holds barred elimination match where the Shield clean sweeps. No one gets eliminated in that match. Like,
For
what do
me,
you
the
do next?
wondering started at WrestleMania 30, where I was like, if this is what we have for them to do, then maybe it's better off to either split them up or start highlighting who we want to push, like they did with Bray Wyatt and the Wyatts, you know, where they were like, you could tell Bray Wyatt was the leader and he was getting more singles opportunities. When I saw the match that they got at WrestleMania 30, that's when I started wondering, like, if they're going to, like, put them in a crappy position, then maybe we should split them up.
And again, around this time, like Roman Reigns pinned Batista at the Extreme Rules match.
Yeah.
But yet, for you personally, I know you're a big Roman Reigns person and fan, but at what point did you realize, like, okay, who was going to come out of this the star? Like, did you ever think to yourself, like, oh, well, because we've seen it before where tag teams break up, Edge and Christian, Hardy Boys, Dudley Boys, or whoever.
Yeah.
Someone goes off and becomes the star, someone else becomes the Intercontinental Champion. Nothing wrong with that, but you always want to be main eventing. You want to be world champion. We saw that becoming Roman Reigns. Seth Rollins did that quicker than Dean Ambrose did. But for you,
Right.
when you were watching this all play out in front of you, who did you think was going to end up being the guy? Was it going to be Roman
I always
because
thought it
Vince
was
McMahon
Roman.
loves big jack dudes?
I always thought it was Roman based on that Royal Rumble 2014 performance. I know they didn't book him to win, but to give him that elimination records and the way that they made him look, I always thought it was going to be Roman. I remember I would get into arguments with people online because a lot of people thought it was going to be Dean Ambrose at the time,
Yep.
which is funny. If you look at my background, I have a picture with Roman. You can't really see it, but I have one with Seth. Like those are my number one and my number two, right? So like when
Where's your
people be like,
picture
no,
with
it's
Dean
gonna be
Ambrose?
you know what? Don't make me tell you that story because I actually have one. I actually do have one, but I took a picture with Dean at MSG, and I don't know if you remember, but at this time I used to talk so much crap about him because everybody wanted him to be the guy, and I'm like, he's not gonna be the guy. So I remember taking a picture with him at MSG, and he never saved on my phone, and I was like, it's karma. It's karma for all the crap I talked about him. But I did meet him later on, and I do have a picture with him. I have pictures
That's
with all three members of the Shield goals.
that's so funny that you're like, you took a picture, you're like, wow, that's a great photo. Oh shit, it didn't.
So everybody, you know, back then, like the IWC was a very small niche. You know this. Now it's
Oh yeah.
not like that. But back then, I feel like we all knew each other because there weren't so many of us online. And a lot of people were at the MSG. It was a house show, but they showed it on the big screen. And people on Twitter started tweeting me like, this girl is over here talking all this crap about Dean Ambrose, and here she is taking a picture. So everybody was like, post the picture. And I was like, I go to look for it. And I'm like, it's not there. It was like the Ambrose picture gate. It was a whole thing on my YouTube channel. It was funny, but that picture never existed. But I did take one with him later on.
That's
However,
when
I
you're
always thought Roman was the guy.
that's when you were a blogger diva.
Yeah, that's how I
Blogger.
started. You turned me into Demon Diva. Fun fact.
That is a fun fact. I will always bring it up because you owe me a lot of money for that.
As a matter of fact, I was Demon Diva because I was ranting on your podcast about Ambrose cashing in on Seth, and I was so happy that the Shield got that moment. We'll get to that later. But I was angry that Roman finally had won the title and lost it so fast, and then Seth won and lost it so fast. I was so happy and annoyed that night that I was ranting, and that's when you said I turned into a demon.
Yes, that I think that might have been the time too. Kane was in charge of the key to the steel cage.
Yes.
He was like the gatekeeper.
Yes.
So bad, so
Great
bad.
times.
We will definitely get to that, but we have to put our veils on now and get the black flowers out because it's the death.
No.
It's the end of the original run of the Shield. Their last match was at Payback, June 1st, 2014, but June 2nd, 2014. Plan B.
It's always a plan B. Never forget those words.
Always a plan B. Now, the night after Payback, Triple H reveals he had a plan B, and that's when Seth Rollins is in the ring with the Shield members, and he has a chair, and he hits Roman, and he is shocked, and Dean, Dean doesn't know what to do, and Dean also
Great
gets hit.
facials.
Yeah, that's my Dean Ambrose. I'm going for Halloween as Dean Ambrose this year, not as Jon Moxley. I'm going as the Dean Ambrose from. I'm just gonna walk around like this, asking for candy. But yeah, Seth Rollins turns on Roman and Dean Ambrose and joins up with Triple H and the Authority, and that is the end of the Shield's run. Yet we still get callbacks from that moment of Seth Rollins hitting Roman
One of
Reigns
the
with that steel
greatest
chair.
moments. The whole arena went quiet. All you can hear is one person screaming, no. And I think we all felt that way. And I also feel like we all knew it would happen, but maybe we didn't want it to happen. I don't know. Maybe we didn't think it would be said. I don't know what made it so shocking. I still can't figure if it was because we all love the Shield, because it was said, because he joined the Authority. Like, I don't know how, like, why it felt that way, but I feel like there was no reaction. You were just like, your heart dropped, you were heartbroken, you were angry, yeah, it was insane. That was one of my favorite turns ever.
Same. And I feel like this one doesn't get talked about in the light. Like everyone talks about it because the Shield broke up. But for over the years, when someone makes like a top 10, heel moments, and Hogan joining the NWO obviously is probably number one because it actually affected the business of WCW. John Cena turning heel didn't affect the business at all. It was just a shocking moment. Seth Rollins turning heel on the Shield
And it's
created
changed everything.
a decade of moments and storylines and interactions
Still
between these
to this
people.
day, we're going on to 2026, and still to this day, this heel turn is affecting the storylines. Like,
Right.
it's actually insane if you think about it.
I think honestly, like I don't understand. I guess I get it. The Shield, it was huge, important, and I feel like some fans don't like the fact that some things can be like everyone. If everyone likes something, other people are like, well, if you like that I have to not like it just because you like it. And I feel like this
Right.
Shield moment being brought up as number two heel moment of all time, Hogan number one, NWO number two, Rollins, because again, you said we're still talking about it. It's still in storylines. It's still ingrained in the DNA of how the WWE has been created in today's world.
And if you were there, the way that it still messes with your emotions. When Seth came out to the Shield music at that Royal Rumble match against Roman just to play with he played with all of our emotions. When that music hit, everything, like, I just felt like everything dropped. He did it again on WrestleMania 40, like, it's crazy, and that's what I was telling you earlier. When you're emotionally invested, like, it just takes these little things for you to take you back to those moments. Like, I thought it was executed well, and I love that you go back and you watch that moment and you see the faces, and like, there's not even a screen. There's no when Cena turned heel, people cheered. There was no cheering here because that's what an effective heel turn is supposed
Yep.
to do. You're supposed to hate the moment.
Oh, I did. I did hate that moment, and
Me too. When Roman's back, he tweeted a picture of his back and it was all cut and he said traitor. Oh, my poor baby.
that's when he was tweeting often.
Yeah, he don't do that anymore.
No, that's when the Shield also had a Twitter account, and
Yes, I retweeted it this morning as a hint that we're doing this.
that's hilarious because with the Shield, I remember I made a really terrible meme on not even my phone, maybe I don't even know if it was my phone, and it was like Ralph from The Simpsons, and it's someone asking, "Are you a fan of the Authority or the Shield?" And someone says the Shield, and Ralph does this weird face, and so I made that and I posted it and tagged the Shield, and the Shield retweeted it. And if you look at their tweets, it's like I think the third last retweet they've ever made because they haven't, they don't update their Twitter anytime. So it felt
Yeah,
great for like
no,
a
not
decade
anymore,
being
but
like,
it's
"Do you
still
see
there.
that? I'm there."
I literally just went to it this morning and retweeted one of the release the hounds believe in the Shield tweets. It was just a little homage to what we're doing here. People are gonna be like, why is she retweeting this at 7 a.m.?
Or why is she
That's
retweeting
why.
a 10-year-old tweet? That's
Well,
weird.
this is why now, you
This is
know.
why. This is why. Yeah.
This is when Twitter was cool too. I remember the WWE Universe account. Anytime they interacted with you, you would get so many followers because they were so interactive. Like, I remember getting retweeted by them and interacting with them all the time.
Yeah, that's why I'm suspicious that my Twitter is filled with bots because of WWE Universe retweeting me so many times. And that was also the time when the WWE had an online app where you
Yeah.
could go on, and what would happen is, it happened to me all the time, which was great, was if they took your tweet and put it on their homepage of their app, you'd blow up instantly that night.
Yeah.
So I would sit there someone even asked me, they're like, "Are you even watching wrestling?" I'd be like, I'd just be tweeting out every like 2 minutes, hoping that the WWE app would retweet
Because
me.
we all used to live watch through Twitter, and the IWC was so small. I just remember I feel like I knew everybody that watched wrestling back then. You know what I mean?
Same.
Because like it was Twitter. We're talking about nostalgia. Twitter was fun. It's not fun anymore, but back then it
Yeah.
was fun. I promise.
Yeah. Well, also we didn't know about algorithms and we didn't know about metadata. We
Oh,
didn't
we were
know
just
about all that stuff.
And we
So
weren't hate watching. We weren't watching too. I never hate watching. That's one of the things that I always like stand by. I tell them my watch alongs like I watch to have fun. This is my escape, right? But I feel like a lot of people hate watch, and to me it's like why even watch it? There's no way that I will watch something just to find something I don't like about it. Like that's weird, you know?
it's a drug, as we brought up earlier.
Yeah,
They're hate watching because they don't know any better. They're addicted to
this is true. This
the
is true.
lights, the camera angles, the characters, the music, the moves. But I was
But
addicted
I
to.
did run to Twitter immediately after that turn to see how everybody was feeling, and I feel
Oh,
everybody like universally was heartbroken at this.
oh my god! This is when I had a podcast called the Fans Podcast, and
The best
I remember doing
podcast.
a whole video, not video because I didn't wasn't on YouTube yet. I don't even know what I was on. Apple, maybe I don't even know.
It
But
was
yeah,
only
I
Apple back then. Like Spotify wasn't even a thing.
no, nope. Spreaker was, but not no
Yeah.
Spotify, no Spotify, none of that stuff. So it's no TikTok, none of that shit. So we didn't have anywhere to go but make an audio podcast, record it through I don't even know how, and that's what happened. And there was sad moments, there was tears, but yet again, as heel turns are brought up, Seth Rollins turning on
One of
Roman
the
Reigns
best.
here set us off into a generation of memories for a lot of people, and it set up three new characters. Roman Reigns kept his Shield gear and Shield music, and we'll talk about how people resented him for that. We'll talk about Seth Rollins joining the Authority and Dean Ambrose deciding to wear jeans and a tank top to the ring. Yep, that was his gear.
The lunatic fringe. The
And he had no
lunatic
music.
fringe.
Then later on,
I like Dean Ambrose music for the
I
record.
did
I
too.
thought it was great. Yeah.
Listen, I was all in on Dean
You
Ambrose.
were a big Dean Ambrose fan.
I was
I
not
was
a Seth
not.
Rollins
I
and Roman
was
Reigns
not.
guy. I was all in on tank top, dirty tank top, Dean Ambrose,
You
folks.
know what the funny thing is about this is that you and I have been good friends for a long time. And I don't feel, I know we agreed on Bray. I feel like we both love Bray equally, but I feel like you and I have such different favorites and different tastes, and yet we managed to get along. Imagine that, internet. It actually can happen. You can be friends with people that don't like the same wrestlers that you like. It's possible. I promise.
I was told it's not possible, so
We did it. We did it, Steve.
we did it.
Should we stop talking to each other? Let's finish the podcast and
We'll
then
finish the
we'll stop
podcast,
talking
then
to
we
each
can
other.
we'll do more Roman Reigns podcast on the history of history of Roman Reigns here on the Wrestling History Channel. And it was a sad moment, but again, we will talk about it next time on another episode. What is up for Roman Reigns? What is next
It's
for
about
him?
to get
It's
real good.
SummerSlam, baby, 2014, and we'll get to that and how everyone felt heading into that event and the trials and tribulations that Roman Reigns will suffer for the next decade until the bloodline and all that. But you were a day one supporter, and we will talk about that as well here on the history of Roman Reigns. Before we wrap this up, what do you think really is the legacy of the Shield? Not the one that WWE tells us. What is the true legacy, in your opinion, for you personally, of the Shield and Roman Reigns' interactions with them?
I think the legacy of the Shield is just giving us the future. I know there's a lot of like people talking about the future. This person is the future. No, no, no. They gave us the future. When you saw these three guys come out and they debuted, you never imagined how much the landscape of wrestling would change, to the point that even when Dean Ambrose shows up as Jon Moxley in a different company, you're like, oh, this is a game changer, because these are three main eventers that still to this day are making a huge impact on professional wrestling landscape. So it's crazy what I mean. It gave us the best storylines in the next 10 years. As far as Roman Reigns goes, I just think this was the beginning of the evolution. Like we're gonna get into it, but Roman Reigns has have so much character changes and growth from who he was at the Shield to where he's at now. It's fascinating to watch in retrospect. That's why I'm so excited for this project.
Same. And I knew the first person I needed to contact to get this project off the ground was someone who used to walk around angry wood and all that good
He
stuff.
loved it. He loved it. For the record, the first time I had a meet and greet with Roman, the first thing he said to me is like, how's that lady wood?" And I'm like, "Ah, shit, he knows about this." I was like, he knows about this. I seen the hashtag, and The rest is history.
Well, as you said, the IWC was about like this small then, and
Yeah.
now it has expanded to celebrities, to musicians, to the term influencers wasn't even a thing in 2014 when this whole Shield
Right.
came
And a
about.
lot of them interacted. Now they don't interact anymore.
Of course not, because if you don't have 1 million subscribers, they won't talk to you. I'll only talk to someone
Right.
who also has 1 million subscribers. Durr, don't you know the rules? Well, either way, I know the rules here, and I get to put your ones up for the tribal chief here on the history
Oh,
of
wait,
Roman
let me
Reigns.
put out where is the acknowledge me tattoo? There we go.
Look at it. She got a Roman Reigns tattoo, folks. Her
Two.
dog is
I
named
got
Roman Reigns. She
two.
got
I
two
got
wrestling
two.
buddies she cuddles with every night, clearly in her bedroom. Maybe I don't know. But maybe
No,
it's
this is
personal.
just my studio. This is just my
Oh,
studio.
okay.
They don't get cuddled with.
Okay, I believe you. I believe you. Don't you worry. Sorry, I have something in my eye. But thanks for tuning in to the first episode here of the history of Roman Reigns right here on the Wrestling History Channel. I'm Seafall. She's a Demon Diva. Have a wonderful day, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.